Dreams are a complicated mess, still not fully understood by science, and the meanings of which have been debated for centuries. So in this video series, I'll be going over the works of Sigmund Freud to see how he understood and interpreted dreams. The contents of these videos will be based on his most famous work, The Interpretation of Dreams, which was written about 100 years ago. So you have to keep in mind that some of it has been contradicted by science, some of it has been proven right by science, and a lot of it has been, well, it's very difficult to study it. So some of it hasn't even been studied because dreams are just so complicated. So before you get a nice theory on why you dream the way you dream, slow down a little bit, because really these videos are just to be a springboard for further research, and they're really just food for thought. So to get started, we need to get our footing and go over the different characteristics of dreams and the different elements of dreams the way Freud saw it. The first characteristic of dreams is how we no longer see our thoughts as concepts. They become images in our brain for us to view. And the second characteristic ties into it, being that it's not just we're not just viewing them, we're actually experiencing them. And the only way that we can really differentiate reality from dreams is coming back to reality upon waking. If it weren't for the waking state, we would be completely engulfed in the illusion that the dream brings us in. The third characteristic is that we need to shut off from the world before we can fall asleep and start dreaming. So, we go to a dark room or a quiet room and lay down, right? But it's not as simple as that. Some people, for instance, need to fall asleep to the sound of a fan going, and they'll wake up if the fan shuts off. Or they'll fall asleep to the murmur of people talking in the room with them, and without changing their volume at all, the second that they say their name, they wake up. So the mind never really shuts off from the external world. It's still dancing with what's going on outside. The fourth characteristic is that outside world can influence our dreams. Some unfortunate people have dreamt that they're swimming in a river only to wake up and find that someone had placed their hand in a warm bucket of water as a prank. The fifth characteristic is that the inside world can also influence your dreams. So one form of it is retinal excitation. While you're falling asleep, your retina starts to, well, it gets excited, right? And you might experience hypnagogic dream states. The other way that the inner world kind of influences your dreams is through somatic stimulation. So if you're falling asleep and you're dreaming, and in the middle of your dream you get a stomach ache while you're in bed, your dream might interpret the dream as disgusting, and you'll feel disgusted. Or if you've been getting toothaches and you get a toothache in the middle of your dream, you might dream that your tooth is falling out. The final way that the inner world, your body, can influence your dreams is psychically. So what do I mean when I say psychically? Do I mean that you're a psychic and you can foresee the future or something like that? Well, that's been debated, but that's not what Freud was talking about when he meant psychical stimulation. What he really meant was psychological stimulation. I mean, that's just that's a nomenclature from the early 1900s. So basically, we dream. What he's saying is we dream of what we do and experience throughout the day. Although at the time people were arguing with that. They were saying the exact opposite, saying that dreams take us away from our normal everyday life. The sixth characteristic of dreams is that the images and feelings associated with dreams have to be rooted in reality. So you must have seen the image, felt the feeling, or imagined the thought for it to come to realization within your dream. Meaning, you have to have actually seen it. So now you might be saying, well, hey, I dreamt of giants, right? Well, two things. You could have seen it on TV, which is probably very likely, or as Freud would say, you have childhood memories that you're coming back to in your dreams. And when you're a child, you're half the size of everyone around you. So that could be where those dreams of giants come from. So it's not always black and white. It's not always easy to put your finger on, you know, like, oh, I didn't feel that feeling or see that image. Sometimes you really have to do some digging to uncover it. The seventh characteristic of dreams is that memory seems to be the one part other than imagination that gets supercharged in the brain during dreams. People have seen things in their dreams very vividly that they only later realize was a sign that they saw on the road every day on their way to work, and never gave it any conscious thought. The eighth characteristic of dreams is our perception of time seems to go out the window. So you might have a dream that feels like 8 hours, but it was only 10 minutes, or you'll have a dream that feels like 10 minutes, but it lasts 8 hours. And then tying into that, it's kind of interesting if you think about maybe a dream where you're in school for a long time. You go to many classes, and then the bell at the end of the day goes off, and it gets louder and louder and louder, and then you wake up and you hear your alarm going off. And you know, normally you hit the alarm and you don't think anything of it and you go on with your day. But if you sit and think about it, and you start to realize, hey, that dream felt like a long time, but really the alarm had only been going off maybe a minute. And yet your brain managed to build this thick plot in almost no time at all. So it's actually kind of interesting to see how fast your brain can really move. Finally, Freud had 6 elements of dreams. And I'm going to quickly go over these. The first one was the wish-fulfilling characteristic. The second was the hallucinatory characteristic. The third was the lowering in function of the mind. The fourth is motor paralysis. Fifth is the nature of the mechanism of displacement in dreams. And the sixth is a similarity between dreams and neurotic symptoms. Now, each of these facets discussed in this video could warrant their own video. And over the next few weeks and maybe even months, I'll be diving into these things, branching out and making videos on the things that I covered in this video and things that I wasn't able to cover in this video. So if there's anything that you guys would like to see me cover first, go ahead and put a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.